Isabel Grant stood in the grand entrance of the Silverstone Vineyard estate, her clipboard clutched against her chest like armor. Every detail of her sister Maya's wedding weekend had been meticulously planned, color-coded, and scheduled down to the minute. Nothing would go wrong. She wouldn't allow it. "You must be the famous control freak sister I've heard so much about." Isabel turned to find a man leaning against the stone archway, arms crossed, wearing an infuriatingly casual linen shirt and that particular brand of confidence that suggested he'd never stressed about anything in his life. His dark hair was slightly too long, curling at his collar, and his amber eyes held unmistakable amusement. "Excuse me? Luca Romano." He pushed off the wall and extended his hand. "Best man. And based on Maya's stories, you must be Isabel, the sister who plans her grocery shopping 3 weeks in advance." "I plan efficiently," Isabel said coolly, shaking his hand briefly. His grip was warm and firm, and she pulled away quickly. "And if you're the best man, you're late. The rehearsal started 10 minutes ago." "Ah, but I'm here now, aren't I?" Luca's smile widened. "In Italy, we believe the best moments happen when you stop watching the clock." "Well, we're in California, and this wedding runs on a schedule." Isabel consulted her clipboard. "The rehearsal dinner is at 7 sharp, which means we need to finish blocking the ceremony by 6:30 to allow time for." "Bellissima, relax." Luca plucked the clipboard from her hands. "Weddings are about joy, not military precision. Give that back." But Luca was already walking toward the ceremony space, reading her notes with obvious amusement. Isabel hurried after him, her heels clicking sharply on the stone pathway. The rehearsal was already underway in the vineyard's garden pavilion. Maya and her fiancé Antonio stood at the altar, surrounded by bridesmaids and groomsmen, while the wedding coordinator explained positions. Maya's face lit up when she saw Luca. "You made it." She rushed over to hug him. "Bella, I see you've met Luca. He's Antonio's favorite cousin and an amazing photographer. He's shooting our wedding as his gift to us." "How generous," Isabel said, retrieving her clipboard from Luca with a pointed look. "And you two will be partners for all the wedding party dances," Maya continued, oblivious to the tension. "The choreographer is here to teach everyone the routine for our first dance number." Isabel's stomach sank. "Partners? See, partners." Luca's eyes sparkled with mischief. "This should be interesting." The choreographer, an energetic woman named Diana, gathered the wedding party. "All right, everyone. We're doing a fun, upbeat number followed by a romantic waltz. Maid of honor and best man, you'll open the floor after the bride and groom. Let's start with basic positions." Isabel found herself standing opposite Luca, hyper-aware of his height, the way he moved with easy grace, the subtle scent of cedar and citrus that clung to him. "Try to relax," Luca murmured as he took her hand and placed his other hand on her waist. "You're stiff as a board." "I'm focused." "You're terrified of not being perfect." His perception irritated her. "Just follow Diana's instructions." They moved through the basic steps, Isabel counting beats in her head while Luca seemed to improvise, adding little flourishes that threw off her rhythm. "You're not following the choreography," she hissed. "I'm making it better." "You're making it chaos." "Now for the dramatic finish." Diana called out. "Best man, you'll dip the maid of honor. Make it sweeping and romantic." Luca grinned. "Ready for romance, Isabel? Just don't drop me." He pulled her into the turn, but Isabel, determined to maintain control, shifted her weight wrong. Luca, trying to compensate, overbalanced. They tumbled backward, landing in a tangle of limbs on the decorative velvet couch positioned behind them for lounge seating. For a breathless moment, Isabel found herself sprawled across Luca's chest, their faces inches apart. His hands had instinctively caught her waist to break her fall, and now they were frozen in that intimate position. Then, whether from momentum or some magnetic pull neither could explain, their lips met. The kiss lasted perhaps 2 seconds, but Isabel felt it everywhere, the warmth of his mouth, the sudden spike of her pulse, the way time seemed to suspend. She could taste wine on his lips, feel the rapid beat of his heart beneath her palms pressed against his chest. They broke apart simultaneously, both scrambling to their feet. Isabel's face burned with embarrassment and something else she refused to name. That was, Luca started. An accident, Isabel finished quickly. Obviously. Obviously. But his eyes told a different story, holding hers with an intensity that made her knees weak. The wedding party had erupted in laughter and applause, thinking it was all part of the performance. Maya was doubled over giggling while Antonio helped them both up. "Well, that's one way to break the ice," Diana said cheerfully. "Let's try that again, but with less falling." For the rest of the rehearsal, Isabel couldn't focus. Every time Luca's hand touched her waist, every time they moved close together, her body remembered that accidental kiss. And from the way his gaze kept finding hers, dark and questioning, she suspected he was remembering it too. When the rehearsal finally ended, Isabel fled to the bathroom, splashing cold water on her face and staring at her reflection. It meant nothing. An accident. Just adrenaline and embarrassment making her feel flushed and unsteady. But when she emerged and saw Luca across the garden, laughing with Antonio, their eyes met again. The awareness that passed between them was anything but accidental. This was going to be the longest wedding weekend of her life. The next morning, Isabel woke to her phone ringing at 7 a.m. Maya's panicked voice greeted her before she could even say hello. "Bella, we have a problem. The bakery just called, their delivery van broke down and they can't get the wedding cake here until tomorrow afternoon. Which is 4 hours after the ceremony." Isabel sat up immediately, her planner brain already running through solutions. "What about their backup vehicle?" "In the shop." "I know this sounds crazy, but could you and Luca drive to the bakery and pick it up? It's about an hour away, and they said if someone can get there by 9, they'll have it ready." "Why Luca?" "Because Antonio's car is the only one big enough to transport a 5-tier cake safely, and Luca drove it here." "Please, Bella. I know you two got off on the wrong foot, but I'm begging you." 30 minutes later, Isabel stood in the circular driveway, her hair pulled into a practical ponytail, wearing jeans and a simple white blouse. A vintage Mercedes pulled up, and Luca emerged wearing sunglasses and that same infuriating casual confidence. "Your chariot awaits, Principessa," he said with a mock bow. "Let's just get this done quickly and efficiently," Isabel replied, climbing into the passenger seat. They drove in tense silence for the first 10 minutes, the Napa Valley landscape rolling past in sun-drenched vineyards and golden hills. Finally, Luca turned down the music. "We should talk about yesterday." "There's nothing to talk about. We fell, we bumped lips, it was an accident." "Was it?" He glanced at her, his expression serious. "Because it didn't feel accidental." Isabel's heart rate spiked, but she kept her voice steady. "It was adrenaline and proximity. Basic biology. You've clearly thought about this." "I think about everything. It's who I am." Luca was quiet for a moment. "Why? Why what? Why do you need to control everything? What are you so afraid will happen if you let go?" The question hit closer than Isabel wanted to admit. "I'm not afraid. I'm prepared." "There's a difference." "Is there?" She turned to face him fully. "Not everyone can just float through life taking photographs and showing up late to weddings. Some of us have responsibilities. And you think because I'm not wound tight as a spring, I'm irresponsible?" Luca's voice held an edge now. "I run my own photography business, Isabel. I support myself doing what I love. Just because I don't plan every minute doesn't mean I don't take life seriously." "I didn't mean," Isabel stopped, surprised to find she'd actually hurt him. "I'm sorry. That was unfair." The apology seemed to catch them both off guard. Luca's expression softened. "I gave up a corporate job in Milan 2 years ago," he said quietly. "Everyone said I was throwing away my future. But I was miserable, sitting in meetings, wearing suits, pretending to care about quarterly reports. Photography makes me feel alive. Maybe that makes me irresponsible in some people's eyes, but at least I'm honest about who I am." Isabel felt something shift in her chest. "That's actually brave. I've been doing event planning for 6 years because it's safe and structured, but sometimes I wonder if I'm just hiding behind schedules and checklists." "Hiding from what?" She hesitated, then decided honesty deserved honesty. "My ex-fiancé left me 2 days before our wedding. Said I was too controlling, too rigid, that being with me felt like living in a prison. I've been trying to prove him wrong ever since by being even more perfect, more organized." She laughed without humor. "Which I realize now might be proving him right." Luca reached over and briefly squeezed her hand. The gesture was simple, but it sent warmth through her entire arm. "He was an idiot," Luca said firmly. "And he didn't deserve you." They arrived at the bakery to discover the crisis was worse than expected. The original cake had been damaged beyond repair in the van incident. "I'm so sorry," the baker, a stressed woman named Patricia, explained. "I can create a new 5-tier cake, but it'll take at least 8 hours, and I'd need help with the decorating to make that deadline." Isabel felt panic rising but forced it down. "What if we simplify the design?" "Even simplified, I can't do 5 tiers alone in time." "I'll help," Luca said suddenly. "Tell me what to do." Patricia looked skeptical. "Have you ever decorated a cake?" "No, but I have steady hands and I follow instructions well." He shot Isabel a meaningful look. "Sometimes." What followed were the most intense 4 hours of Isabel's life. Patricia put them to work, Isabel carefully stacking tiers while Luca learned to pipe frosting borders. They worked in focused silence, broken only by Patricia's instructions and occasional corrections. Isabel found herself watching Luca as he worked, his brow furrowed in concentration, his long fingers surprisingly delicate as he created intricate sugar flowers. He caught her staring and smiled. "What?" "Nothing. You're just surprisingly good at this." "I'm good at a lot of things, Isabel. You just have to give me a chance to show you." The comment felt loaded with meaning. Their hands brushed as they both reached for the same piping bag, and neither pulled away immediately. Isabel felt heat flood her face. "Top tier needs pearl details," Patricia called out. "You two will have to work together on it, one stabilizing, one decorating." They stood close together, Isabel holding the rotating cake stand steady while Luca carefully applied tiny sugar pearls. His arm brushed against hers, and she could feel the warmth of his body beside her. "You smell like vanilla and sugar," Luca murmured, his voice low. "It's from the kitchen." "No, it's you. I noticed it yesterday too." Isabel's breath caught. "Luca. Tell me you didn't feel anything yesterday. Tell me that kiss meant nothing, and I'll never mention it again." She couldn't. The lie wouldn't form on her lips. Their eyes met, and the air between them seemed to thicken. Luca's hand came up to cup her cheek, his thumb brushing across her lower lip. "Isabel," he whispered. "What are we doing?" "I don't know," she admitted. "But I can't stop thinking about you." "Good. Because I haven't stopped thinking about you either." He leaned in slowly, giving her every opportunity to pull away. When she didn't, he kissed her, not accidentally this time, but with clear intention. His lips were soft but firm, and when Isabel's hands fisted in his shirt, pulling him closer, he made a sound low in his throat that sent shivers down her spine. The kiss deepened, became something urgent and searching. Isabel forgot about the bakery, the wedding, everything except the way Luca tasted like coffee and possibility. Ahem. They broke apart to find Patricia watching them with raised eyebrows and an amused smile. "The cake is finished," she said pointedly. "And you two might want to get a room." The drive back was charged with a different kind of tension. Luca's hand rested on the gear shift, close enough to Isabel's that their fingers kept brushing with every turn. Neither of them mentioned what had happened at the bakery, but the awareness between them was electric. "What happens after this weekend?" Isabel finally asked. "I don't know," Luca said honestly. "But I want to find out." "Don't you?" Isabel looked at his profile, strong jaw, those expressive eyes, the slight smile playing at his lips. Everything in her careful, controlled life said this was a bad idea. But for once, she wanted to stop thinking and just feel. "Yes," she said. "I do." The wedding eve dinner passed in a blur of toasts and laughter, but Isabel barely tasted her food. She was acutely aware of Luca across the table, the way his eyes kept finding hers, how he'd smile, that secret smile that made her stomach flip. After dinner, exhausted from the bakery adventure and the emotional whiplash of the day, Isabel tried to sleep. But at midnight, she found herself wide awake, her mind replaying every moment with Luca. Finally giving up, she wrapped herself in a cardigan and wandered out to the estate's terrace. The Napa Valley night was stunning, stars scattered across the sky like diamonds, the air cool and carrying the scent of grapes and night-blooming jasmine. Isabel leaned against the stone railing, trying to quiet her racing thoughts. Couldn't sleep either. She turned to find Luca emerging from the shadows, his camera hanging around his neck. He'd changed into worn jeans and a soft gray Henley that made him look unfairly attractive in the moonlight. "I thought I was the only one awake," Isabel said. "I was photographing the stars." He lifted his camera. "The light pollution is minimal here. It's perfect for long exposure shots. Can I see?" Luca came to stand beside her, close enough that their shoulders touched as he showed her the camera's display. The images were breathtaking, swirls of stars, the Milky Way stretched across the sky like a river of light. "Luca, these are incredible. You're really talented." "Thank you." His voice was soft. "Most people think photography is just pointing and clicking. They don't understand it's about seeing beauty that others miss." "Is that how you see the world? Always looking for hidden beauty?" He turned to face her, his amber eyes intense. "Yes. And sometimes the beauty isn't hidden at all. Sometimes it's right in front of you, and you just have to be brave enough to acknowledge it." Isabel's heart was pounding. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying that kiss at the bakery wasn't about adrenaline or proximity. I'm saying I've been thinking about you since the moment I saw you yesterday, all uptight with your clipboard and your schedules, looking at me like I was chaos incarnate. You are chaos incarnate. And you're control personified. We should be terrible together." He stepped closer, his hand coming up to tuck a strand of hair behind her ear. "So why does being near you feel like the first thing that's made sense in years?" Isabel couldn't breathe. "Luca, I'm terrified. My life is planned out. I don't do spontaneous. I don't do unpredictable. I know. And I live out of a suitcase, following light and beauty wherever it takes me. I don't do schedules or 5-year plans. Then this is impossible." "Or," Luca said, his thumb tracing her jawline, "maybe it's exactly what we both need. You need someone to help you let go. I need someone to help me stay grounded. Maybe we balance each other. You make it sound simple. Feelings are simple. It's fear that makes them complicated." He cupped her face in both hands. "I'm scared too, Isabel. Scared of how much I want this when I barely know you. But I'm more scared of walking away and spending the rest of my life wondering what if." Isabel made a decision. She'd spent 2 years playing it safe, building walls, staying in control. And where had it gotten her? Alone, going through the motions, living half a life. I don't want to wonder what if, she whispered. Luca's smile was brilliant. Then don't. He kissed her, and this time Isabel let herself fall into it completely. No hesitation, no second guessing, just the perfect rightness of his mouth on hers, his hands in her hair, her body pressed against his. They kissed until they were both breathless, until the stars wheeled overhead and the night wrapped around them like a blanket. When they finally broke apart, Luca rested his forehead against hers. "Come to my room," he said softly. "I just want to be with you. Talk, hold you, whatever you're comfortable with." They walked hand in hand through the quiet estate to his cottage. Inside, it was cozy and lived in, with camera equipment carefully arranged on one table and Luca's leather jacket thrown over a chair. "Wine?" Luca offered, but Isabel shook her head. "I don't want wine. I want you." Something flared in his eyes, heat and tenderness combined. "Isabel, we don't have to." She kissed him, silencing his noble protest. "I know we don't have to. I want to. Unless you don't." "Oh, I definitely want to." His voice was rough. "I've wanted to since you yelled at me about the choreography." They moved toward the bed in a tangle of limbs and kisses, shedding clothes between breathless laughter and sighs. Luca was gentle and passionate, taking his time to learn what made her gasp, what made her arch into his touch. Making love with him felt like finally letting go of control and discovering that falling could be beautiful. Isabel had never felt so seen, so cherished, so completely herself. Afterward, they lay tangled in the sheets, Isabel's head on Luca's chest, his fingers tracing lazy patterns on her shoulder. "What are you thinking?" he asked. "That I'm supposed to regret this. That it's too fast, too reckless." "And do you? Regret it?" She propped herself up to look at him. "Not even a little bit. That terrifies me." Luca smiled and pulled her down for a slow, sweet kiss. "Good. Be terrified with me. We'll figure it out together." They talked until dawn painted the sky pink and gold, about their dreams, their fears, their pasts and possible futures. Isabel told him about her controlling tendencies, her perfectionism, her fear of being abandoned again. Luca shared his own struggles, the pressure from his family to be practical, his fear that his passion for photography was selfish. "It's not selfish," Isabel said firmly. "It's beautiful. You capture moments that would otherwise be lost. You create art. You create order from chaos," Luca countered. "You make people's most important days perfect. That's beautiful too." As the sun rose, Isabel realized something that should have scared her but instead felt like relief: she was falling in love with Luca Romano. Fast, reckless, completely unplanned, and somehow exactly right. "I should go," she said reluctantly. "Maya will be up soon, and I need to help her get ready. Can I see you after? Before the ceremony?" "That's bad luck. I don't believe in luck. I believe in making things happen." He kissed her softly. "But I'll wait until the ceremony. I'll be the one staring at you instead of the bride." Isabel laughed and kissed him one more time before slipping back to her room, her heart full and her carefully constructed walls in complete ruins. For once in her life, she didn't care about the plan. She just cared about where this unexpected journey might lead.